she is with child. But homegirl was definitely still seeing that grown man. And she's screaming to the neighbors, my baby is in there. So they learned very quickly that this was no accident. What's up, Team Jazzy? It's your girl, Jazzy J, and I am back with another mukbang. So today's true crime is about a fatal house fire to save a pedophile. I know, crazy, right? So I call all of my subscribers Team Jazzy. So if you would like to be a part of the team, all you have to do is subscribe to this channel and turn your post notifications on so that you never miss another video. Give this video a big thumbs up on the simple fact that I finally have a seafood boil. I have some boiled eggs, fettuccine noodles, snow crab legs, shrimp, green lip mussels, potatoes, and some regular garlic sauce. I hope I said everything. Yeah, I'm starving, so I'm going to pray and we're going to get into this true crime story time. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for the food that I'm about to receive. I ask that it may be nourishment to my body. I ask that you bless the hands that prepared it and bless my entire Team Jazzy. Amen. Oh, I'm so hungry. I don't know where to start. So how are you guys doing? What's for dinner? Okay, story time. There was a young girl. She was 14 years old. Her name was April. She lived in North Carolina. And she had to grow up pretty fast because her mom was in and out of prison for just like petty crimes. And her dad was in jail because her dad was in jail for manslaughter. To stop her from going to children's services, her grandparents stepped in to raise her. I don't know what's my favorite. I want to say potato, but by the time I eat something else, it's going to be different. But this potato is hitting. So, her grandparents were Lily. She was 77, and then her grandfather, Aaron, was like 83. And they were pretty strict on her, only because they didn't want her to grow up to be like her mom or her dad. They had her on the right track. They were going to church every Sunday. April was on honor roll, and she just got onto this summer program to get a job at her school. So Lily and Aaron was doing a really good job keeping their granddaughter April on track, you know, teaching her responsibility with this training to get a summer job, having her go to church every Sunday, like things was looking good. Well, one day walking home from the training, a man is driving. He pulls over to talk to April. He tells her how beautiful she is. And just imagine how quickly she falls for that because she has abandonment issues. So the first guy, even at the age of 14, no matter if he's driving or not, the first guy that shows interest, shows attention, something you've been yearning for from your own father, you're going to take a liking to it. And she did. He was 29 years old. He was a carpenter, and apparently he liked 14-year-old children. And so April, knowing how strict her parents is, she was like, ain't no way. ain't no way I'm about to tell them who I'm hanging out with. Well, they lived in a small city. So word got around very fast, and a little birdie told the grandparents that April had been seen with a grown-ass man hanging out when she's supposed to be at training. She's supposed to be at training. But imagine how grown men get us. Like, he already had money. And so he probably like, I'll pay you for your time. Whatever they about to pay you, I'll pay you to hang with me for the day. And teenagers are so easy to get over on. Especially if the boyfriend is older. He know all the tricks. And she's not looking at it like, ugh, he is sick. Like, what you want with me? She's looking at it as, somebody loves me. And once the grandparents found out, the grandparents was very upset. I mean, that's normal. I would be mad. And so she acted like she left him alone. But she was still seeing him secretly. And it's hard for 80-year-old couple to keep up with a 14-year-old. When they already did this with their daughter. But she said she wasn't seeing him no more. So they're like, okay, we gotta trust her. But homegirl was definitely still seeing that grown man. Their love for each other became stronger because they had to hide it. And once school came back in, they found an easier way to be able to see each other. Clinton, which is the 29-year-old boyfriend, he would pay April's mother to sign written excuses for April's absence so that April could spend time with him during school and then be back home by the time school is over, so her grandparents never knew. That's sick to me. Like, your own mom is just like setting you up over some small cash. Nobody cared about this girl, apparently. They didn't even care about her education. It was just like selfish, you know? I'm going to sign this written excuse because I want money. And then on Clinton's part, it's like, I'm going to stop you from getting an education because I want you to myself. He's a freaking pedophile. Like, you're 29 years old. What do you want with a little girl? All right, let me tell the story. So they did this for 8 months, and it all seemed to be working out for them. Well, 8 months later, April is feeling sick, and she finds out she is with child. You would think she would be upset about it, but she was happy. And so was Clinton. He was very happy about it. They were so happy about it, they started telling people. And it got back. A little birdie told the grandparents, your granddaughter is pregnant by a grown man. So now the grandparents is very upset because they're like, we thought you stopped talking to him. So when they found out she was pregnant, they had told her, abort that baby, or we're going to put him in jail for rape. And one day, April is watching TV at nighttime, and all of a sudden, sparks. She sees sparks behind the TV. And all of a sudden, the sparks turn into fire. Turns into flames. So she screams for her grandma. She runs to the telephone and the telephone isn't working. So she heads outside. So she runs outside, but she's like calling her grandparents at the same time. She runs outside to go get help. Well, when she gets outside, thank God people are walking through. People are walking the neighborhood. And so they offered for her to use the phone. They're like, use the phone. Use my phone to call. April calls 911. And as they're waiting, they see the grandmother crawl out. She crawls out and she's screaming to the neighbors, my baby is in there. My baby and my husband, both of them, they're in there. Somebody help, somebody help. And so April goes up to her grandmother and she's like, Grandma, I'm right here. Lily never knew that her granddaughter had made it out alive. So she was happy to see her granddaughter. So once the ambulance got there, they rushed Lily to the emergency room because she was burnt up real bad. And unfortunately, the grandfather died in the fire. So the fire department is asking the witnesses questions. And everybody is directing them to April, who was standing off in the corner watching everything. And so they noticed that April doesn't have any burns or bruises or anything. And so they're asking her what happened. And so she told them what happened. So they take her to her great aunt's house. And they go back to investigate. Well, once the fire is out and they investigate, they realize there is like a trail of like a gasoline mark. There's like trails of gasoline all over the house. And there was a milk jug that you could tell is what started the fire. Is where the gasoline was in this milk jug. So they learned very quickly that this was no accident. So the very next morning, they go pick up April to question her. And after only 4 hours of interrogation, homegirl cracked. I mean, she's 14. What do you expect? And this is what she told them. I'm pregnant. And because my boyfriend is older, my grandparents told me that I had to abort the baby or they was going to put him in jail for rape. So that night I went to his house to let him know, and we came up with the plan to kill my grandparents because they put me in a situation where it was either them or my baby. Like, no, they put you in a situation where it was them or your man. And so she's like, so we had to think fast. And so we had a couple plots. And the first plot was to steal my grandfather's gun. And then I was going to leave the door unlocked and he was going to shoot them both. And it was just going to look like a robbery gone wrong while I was sleeping in my bed. But then we thought about it and we're like, no, blood is too messy. They're going to trace the gun back to him. So then the second idea was to poison them with insecticide. And then, so we tested it out and we poured it in coffee. And then when we went to put our mouth up to it, the smell was just so bad that it was like, that was a dead giveaway that something was wrong. They're not going to drink it knowing that it smells funny like that. So they didn't do that one. The third plot was to set the house on fire, make it look like some type of electric problem. And so he went to go, he filled up a he filled up a milk jug full of gasoline and brung it over to my house, and I just kept it in my bedroom until the right time. I was waiting on him to let me know when was the right time, but last night I just saw an opportunity to do it, and so I just went ahead and did it without him. So after hearing this, they go to find Clinton, and he tells them, he's like, oh no, I didn't have anything to do with her death, with that house catching on fire. I would never do anything like that. But she did randomly ask me for a jug full of gasoline. I just thought maybe it was for the car. I just did what she told me to do. And I brung over the gasoline, but that was it. Girl, you done killed your grandparents, and this man is turning against you. You done killed your grandparents for him, and now he's turning against you. So during trial, the jury wasn't going for it. They put that man in jail too. Both of them got 2 life sentences, but Clinton got an extra 30 years, and I think it was because of how old he was. And so did April. April got 2 life sentences in years. But they got charged with arson, first-degree murder, and conspiracy of first-degree murder. And he ended up dying a couple years later because he had cirrhosis of the liver. So he ended up dying. She had her baby in prison and then gave him up to a friend, a family friend. And he grew up to be a very decent citizen. He goes and visits his mother very often. But his mom, April, 30 years later, she's trying to get out. She's asking for clemency. She's like, her thing is, I was really young and my judgment was clouded by a grown man who I fell in love with. And look at the cards that I was dealt as a child. I didn't know what I was doing. Being that both of my parents were not in my life, I was just out there. I was also trying to protect my baby. My parents didn't protect me. My parents didn't care about me. I just wanted to be a good mom. I didn't want them to take away my baby. They were going to take away my baby because they were so strict. But just imagine her guilt sitting in jail now. Because it's like, how dare I really kill my grandparents who actually cared about me? That was the reason why they were strict, not because they didn't like me. And then my mother, my own mother, she showed she didn't care by signing off. You were okay with your 14-year-old daughter having relations, having sex with a 29-year-old man. Like, none of them cared about me. And it's so sad because she's had all this time to really think things over, and it probably eats her up all the time. Like, dang, my grandparents really loved me, and I couldn't see that. And it's so sad because teenagers, we really do. Some teenagers, when they're getting disciplined by their parents, they get upset. They think their parents don't like them. It's not until they get older. And then they're like, dang, I used to want to be those kids that their mom didn't care what they do. They was allowed to do whatever they wanted. I used to want to be them so bad. But looking back at it, it's sad. Because the kids whose parents don't care what they do and where they at, when they get older, they be like, dang, I wish my mom cared about where I was at. Like, dang, she didn't care what I did. Everybody else was always in trouble. I wasn't. Like, sometimes bad kids, that's what they be wanting. They be wanting somebody to be like, discipline them because they care about them. I can't get this open. I don't feel like doing all that. I'm done. All right, you guys. Let me know Let me know what y'all think about it in the comment section down below. Post notification goes to... Thank you so much for having your post notifications on. Shout out to you for being the first to comment on the last video. If you would like a shout out, all you have to do is be the first to comment on the next video. If you would like to see more true crime videos, then click right here. If you would like to subscribe to this channel so that you never miss another video, then click right here. I love you, and I will see you guys in the next mukbang.